Wonderful, beautiful world. You are very welcome to the soft system size to sales. That's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? But today is really about value. It's also about why and how people buy. That's an interesting subject in itself. And we're looking at to explore this to its roots and to its core and why people buy. In order for you to understand that is to help your clients get what they want. Hello, welcome back. And today we're discussing with my good friend over there, got it right today. And we are looking at some of the reasons that people buy. And it's really good, an interesting discussion is the more we understand this, the more we can help our clients get what they want as a selling process. So, Shay, what do you think about this?
Well, Jason, I think we could talk about this subject for a very, very long time, right? Number one, because it's multifaceted, right? But if I was to start off this conversation, the first thing I would say is why they buy is what you can do for them. Number one, right? What can you do for them? How can you solve their problems? If we're putting it in the scope of the business world, Jason, right? Business to business, they'll buy from you if they believe you, if they trust you, if they can solve if they believe you can solve their problems. So it's very important to get them all right as a seller, right, Jason? And then if you break them down, those three down into subcategories, even what does it mean? What do you have to do to tick the box for all of those things? And I don't like sounding like a tick the box exercise, but you have to ensure you are convincing. You have to ensure they like you. You have to ensure you're giving them the information they need. You have to ensure that you're being honest and integral in everything you say. And you have to ensure that you're there to sort their needs, not there for you to
Mhm.
get to sale. You have to be there to solve their problems. And they need to believe and see that from you. So that's where I would start, Jason, is what are the things that I can do to ensure the customers get that from me when I meet them?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I was actually going to go on to the Maslow's laws of hierarchy, and if you remember that is if you start to have a look at the psychology behind it, is everyone's looking for a reason to have something, and the Maslow's laws is self-actualization. They believe in an experience. So maybe you're selling or you're given an experience to a client. Maybe the client wants an experience, but it does tend you're looking at what the product might actually look and feel like. So whether it's a training that you're going to do, the people in the organization want an experience. They want to experience and behavior change in what they've been delivered. They want to experience something new. So that's one of the laws of could be one of the reasons that people buy because they want to experience something new. They want to experience something different. They want something to change in their life to make something look a little bit different to them. So that could be one of the reasons why people want to buy is they want to experience life. They want to experience something that they makes their lives easier for them. So that could be one of the reasons that they do want to buy.
Absolutely, Jason. But see, people buy a lot on emotions. You
Yeah.
know, it's not just, don't get me wrong, logic is important too. It has to satisfy a need, to your point. But then if they know they want something, Jason, then it's how do you convince them that they should get that service or product from you as opposed to the competition?
Yeah.
And that's where the emotions come in as well. But don't get me wrong, Jason, logic, it has to, I always say get logic off the table. You
Yeah.
have to be able to satisfy the customer's needs, right? Number one. not at 50%, not 80%, not 90%, 100%, right? And if you can't, I always suggest, well, do you need to partner with someone else to satisfy that, or do you have to pass them somewhere else? Don't try and put a square plug in a round hole, Jason, because it just doesn't work. It's good for nobody then. So you have to ensure, can you satisfy their needs? And then how can you convince them that you're the right person? Not just the business, Jason, but to buy from you, right? Businesses are businesses. They're big boxes. They're big corporates. Like, you have to give people a reason to buy from you, because people buy from people. People want to know that you're going to help them when things don't go very well, because customer service is amazing when it's done right. When it's not done right, and I'll tell you now, Jason, like yourself, I've had many bad experiences, and there's companies I will never go to ever again. Even if they're the most convenient and cheapest, I will never go again,
Yeah.
because of how I was treated by them.
Yeah, it's the human connection first, and it is that, and as you say, it's the emotional connection. And if it's business to business, there is the first reaction. It does say behind the scenes, it takes a few moments to really like or trust someone before you actually start to engage with them even further. So likability is one of those key factors as a salesperson, as a sales professional, and having the body language around that, the non-verbals, meaning smiling a lot at and with people, makes you more likable, makes you more trustworthy. People like people that are a little bit more positive and upbeat about themselves, rather than being a little bit too serious about things. And when you do smile, there's an automatically connection. You've never seen when you see a baby smile, your heart goes with it. So you bought into that straight away. You love them and you adore them because they just look so good when they are happy and smile.
You're never going to be angry because the baby smiled,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. It's the same thing. It's the same principle.
Doesn't happen, right? Yeah, and you're right, Jason, because likability is a major step into gaining trust. It's on that journey of gaining trust. So I agree, likability is extremely important, and that has to happen from the beginning. And the way you do that, Jason, is number one, be yourself. Be yourself. Be the best version of you. Turn up the best version of you, and open conversations. Don't be just there to get the sale. One thing that I saw, and I actually read this, I didn't read it, sorry, it was in a course I did when I started teaching sales. I said I better do some courses to pick up the jargon, because I was always focusing on the process side, and I really wanted to learn the soft side, right? And when I was looking at it, my dad used to do this naturally, and he never did any sales training. And my dad was very likable and very trustworthy. But what they were saying is, when you're entering the conversations, don't ever bring up the subject of the business first. Open conversations, open the dialogue, and let them invite you in, as opposed to you push yourself on top of them. And I think there's a lot of truth in that, Jason. But when I looked back at my dad, he did this naturally. And he did it naturally because he was a nice guy. And that's what he wanted. He wanted to make sure those people were comfortable in his environment. And then when they came to him, they said, look, I'm looking for this. I'm looking for a bit of advice. And then he'd do his best to help them.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the likability, the trust, and that all comes from helping, Jason. You're there to help them solve their problems, help them figure out sometimes what that problem is, Jason. I believe sales to be a lot of problem solving.
Yeah,
it's not just because I know myself, and you know yourself. I've often gone into projects where I've been asked to do 1, 2, 3. When I went in there, they needed X, Y, Z before they could do 1, 2, 3. And I will be honest, say, look, I can do this, but this is what you need first. But the choice is yours.
And I was thinking, like, people know what they want. And I'll give you an example. Is Christmas time, everyone knows they want to get out and they want to buy stuff. But knowing what you want to buy, but having that right person to help you connect and ask those right questions, to get inside my head, to find out exactly what I want and ask some directive right questions. And it is about asking the right questions to find my need, because I know I want to buy something. I know I want to do something because I have a problem here. And the problem is, either you're helping me or you're not. So again, you visit retail locations at this time of year, but you have something in mind. But it's down to those salespeople in the retail to ask right questions and to direct and come to you and say, what brought you into the store today? What can I help you with specifically to enable you to get what you want? So you have something, and you have something in value in your mind. But even when you're business to business organization, you still might have a problem, and you might be the right time to match their needs. But even if it's not the right time and you're likable and you're trustworthy and you have the right connection, people will come back to you once you've helped them discover, look, it might not be now, and no means not right now, but no means I like you and I trust you. Please send me whatever on afterwards. I keep you in mind, because you might not hit the button all the time, but you might hit the button later on down the line. And it's happened to me, and I'm sure it's happened to you, Shay, that they don't buy off you immediately, but they trust you. You got the right credentials behind you. They connect with you, but their buying signals are in their brain is not right now. They're buying things as long as everything else aligns, that it does fit in, but it does fit in the first quarter of 2023 or whenever it might be.
Yeah. And that's a really good call out, Jason, because like you, I learned very quickly with sales, there's 3 buying decisions: not buy now, and buy later.
Yep.
And many people miss that buy later and lose. They've done all the hard work getting the leads, know they're interested, and then just walk away from it. And then you have to go back to start to the funnel to generate more leads when they have them there. And then you have to define what's the best and most appropriate way to keep in touch with these people without annoying them. So when they are, you just want to stay top of mind. That's what companies do on TV. They advertise so they stay top of mind for them, not to sell you. Like you now look at all the ads now, they're all about making people look like fun, enjoyment, entertainment, journeys, experiences. Very people are actually selling anymore, Jason. It's just about to keep the brand on top of mind. So when there is the right time to buy, you're going to be top of mind, right? And that's really, really important, Jason, because again, when we go back to making sure we're doing everything in our power to get to sale, like you can't walk away. You can't walk away from leads knowing that you made a mistake, knowing that you could have done something better. That's the worst thing can happen, Jason. And you need to absolutely keep working on your process, learn feedback, keep iterating what you do and how you do it along that journey. And again, I always say there's a process for everything, but be natural. Don't be robotic about it. It has to come from the heart and come from you.
Yeah, it's all people skills. Ankit, again, he's reiterated what you've said, not buy now and then buy later. And I think that's so very important. But there's another thing behind that, and I think you touched on the point, Shay, was did other people buy it? I mean, the credentials behind what you do, which will help people make a valid decision on you. Who else has benefited from what you've done? Your products and service. What are credentials behind that? Testimonials,
social proof, like everything.
Proof of purchase. People have actually worked with you before, and they got X amount of results from actually having that. They have that X amount of experience. Their products and services has engaged their customers more. Their profit has grown. They've saved time. They've saved energy. They've done something in order to work with you, or with your organization, or with your team, or whatever that might look and feel like.
Yeah, and that's it, Jason. Like it's very like, and again, I would build this into the funnel. Like I think that's a very important part and ammunition to show where people have been very satisfied and their results. And again, it's not just, I always talk about problems and consequences, Jason, like, and then solutions, and then like people know features and benefits, Jason. They know that. They probably know more about, if you're buying a car, Jason, for example, you're going into that car yard and you have to be prepared as a car salesman that person could know more than you about that particular car. As people who buy these things, luxury items, they know everything to the nth degree. They've studied them, so they could know more than you. So your goal isn't to sell them the car. Your goal is to get them to buy from you. It's as simple. And how you can help them. How can you ensure that you're going to guarantee that this car is going to work from them? You're going to be able to look after the car, after sales experience, and you're the right person because they trust you, because they believe in you, That's where you come in. You're not there to sell the product. You're there to sell you. And I think that's a really good analogy. And it's really important to know the distinction, Jason, because people know what they want. They don't need you to tell them. Or even if they don't know, like even what I find very useful, Jason, is I'll help them build a solution. They're still going to look to other parties, Jason, and I'll tell them, please don't just believe me, go to other companies, because that means you're again looking after them. You're not looking for yourself. And I think the more you give people an easy out, the more they will believe in you, Jason, because you're not trying to push you. People don't like pushing. And I know from Ireland, Jason, we're the epitome of not liking to be pushed. We don't like being told to. We always feel people are trying to con us, you know? So,
ironically enough, I was going to say this on my Facebook page. I won't share it because I don't want to embarrass the other person, but they posted something on selling on the chat, selling Bitcoin. Why do this on? This is not value. This is not helping anyone. And the way it's being pitched, kindly join the company platform on Telegram to join this Bitcoin company. But there's no credibility there. I'm not the right audience for them because I don't like that. And there's no testimonials there because it does it work or doesn't it not work? So where would I need to go to find out more detail and data from that?
yeah,
That's really. I won't put it up, or maybe I should.
And I saw, actually, Jason, I saw it in the back end there as well, and I was nearly going to say, and here's an example of how not to do what we've just.
Well, let's put it up, and this is the example of how not to do it. And I want to highlight this point: is when you do spam and when you do call, be trustworthy. Number one, be honest. Number two, be relevant. And ask the right questions, because I don't think spam would actually do it. And so I hope the people that are watching that and actually has pushed that up, hopefully they will start to think about what they do is to help others get what they want, not their own benefits and their own means. So let's have a look at one other thing is when we talk about scarcity, it has to be done in the right way because people make a decision. I know I've bought on scarcity numerous occasions. You're nodding your head, and I'm sure a lot of the audience have. But I think it has to be done in the right thing. And I think Ryanair and other airline companies like them, and there's a flurry of other companies that do it, is you can either be very busy and not being able to help people to book something in the time slots, because sometimes you're so busy, you just go, I'm not sure when I can do it. It might be a couple of months, but I want it tomorrow. Most people do want it tomorrow, but I'm not sure whether I can do it until the time is right. So, but you have to be trustworthy and have to be pretty authentic when you do that. And if they do want to buy from you, they will buy from you when the time is right. But it has to be matched into the right segment. It has to be, if you're in a retail store and you want to buy an iPhone as an example, but they've only got X amount of iPhones that you want to buy. This might have been a few years ago. So the scarcity principle does work, but I think it just has to be done in the right way, not that you go a few weeks later down the line and they've got loads of them. I think you get a bad taste for that. So as long as the connection is correct and the balance is right, I think you can use the scarcity principle when it works and you're actually in the honest and trustworthy mode of doing it.
An application like Jason, all these tactics and strategies can be used for good or bad. They can use to influence or manipulate. And they're not the same. There's a massive difference. The influence is to get the win-win, Jason. The manipulation is just to get the win for you and potentially lose for them. But here's the thing. The people who use these skills for manipulation will only get the quick sale. They won't get repeat business. And also, Jason, that's best case scenario. If they do this wrong, they'll get people telling their friends they've had a bad experience with you. So you're getting negative press around. So it's very important to use these. As they say, with great power becomes great responsibility, Jason.
Yeah, that's so very true. Look, we've always hit our witching hour for today. And I think we should actually carry this conversation on for part two next week, because there's so much more that we can actually add into this, why people buy. And it's just a wealth of things. What we might do actually is to test the radio and we have an interactive audience, but we might have a look at that over the next coming weeks. And we'd love to get the audience involved as well. So I don't know what you think, Shay.
Oh, that sounds fantastic, Jason. It really does. So let's plan this, because I'd love to get people's thoughts, and I'd love to hear their questions they have, Jason. Then we can help answer them and help them do something better in what they do.
Absolutely. So one thing that you've taken out from today, Shay.
The one thing is, and it sounds silly, Jason, but be authentic. Be that helper, be that problem solver, because people are going to buy. Your goal is to show that you're the right person to buy from.
Yeah. And people buy people. That's the other thing. They do buy people, and they do buy connection, and all the flurry of other stuff behind people and what they can bring to the table. So I think that's a wonderful conversation today. Again, thank you so much for coming on board the Soft and Sift and Size to Sales. You can review this content again and again at your heart's content on both of Shay and I's YouTube channels. And this is everlasting on LinkedIn.
Brilliant. Thanks as always.